Her heart stopped in the infusion chair. And thank you, Lord, they resuscitated her, flushed her out, and they said there was absolutely no options for her, sent her home to get her affairs in order. Over the next 2 weeks, it was a dramatic decline. She went from looking age 58 to now she looked in her 90s in just 2 weeks. Lay in bed, and she smelled like death. The room, you could smell it. I remember saying it was quite emotional. She said, Jim, that's my dad's name, there's probably a dead mouse in the room. And he began to cry.
Wait, so she was aware of the smell, but she didn't know
Oh,
it was
yeah.
coming from her.
She did not know.
Oh
And
my
when my dad
word.
got emotional, she says, it's me.
Welcome, Rusty. I know you have an interesting story to tell us.
It's definitely was a miracle, but it was
Miracle.
in science. Yeah, it was rooted in science, which makes it replicatable, which is such a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So let's dive in. How did you get into this whole topic of patient advocacy and cancer options?
I'm looking forward to sharing my story. My story, it definitely started with so before my mom had cancer, I had no idea this realm existed. This goes back about 13 years. My mom, vibrant at the time, 58 years old, healthy. No one would have known anything was wrong. She did have a few symptoms that were misdiagnosed for about a year, but when they finally diagnosed them, Amy, they diagnosed her end of life, stage 4, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, 12 weeks to live
Good
unless she
grief.
does aggressive chemo. What a shock.
Just that part of the story is so alarming because if she looked healthy and felt healthy, are you able to share what the symptoms were just out of curiosity?
Over the years, I don't recall those symptoms. I apologize, but they were rather benign. No one would have known, and they never tested her for cancer. But what it was she had a lump right here where the lymph node is, and they opened that up, and cancer came as well. And they sewed her back up and said, you're going to need chemo. So they referred her over to an oncologist. He did pathology on her, and the prognosis was stage 4, end of life, 12 weeks, unless you do aggressive chemo. She agreed with it. Within 7 days, she's connected to her first infusion. It didn't go well. Burned her hair, her head. So she had blisters all over her head, her mouth, and throat. And about half of her hair fell out. They connected her to another 2-liter bag of chopped Rituxan the next week, and it got worse. Her heart stopped in the infusion chair. And thank you, Lord, they resuscitated her, flushed her out, and they said there was absolutely no options for her, sent her home to get her affairs in order. Over the next 2 weeks, it was a dramatic decline. She went from looking age 58 to now she looked in her 90s in just 2 weeks. Lay in bed, and she smelled like death. The room, you could smell it. I remember saying it was quite emotional. She said, Jim, that's my dad's name, there's probably a dead mouse in the room. And he began to cry.
Wait, so she was aware of the smell, but she didn't know
Oh,
it was
yeah.
coming from her.
She did not know.
Oh
And
my
when my dad
word.
got emotional, she says, it's me. So here's a woman, she's not dead, but she smells like death. And this was a big clue to what was happening. And she aged rapidly. I've told this story 1,000 times, but it brings me to tears every time because I know this is happening to me. So, myself.
No, I totally get it.
So she lay in bed wasting away. My daddy didn't give up. And he found a clinic that does integrative oncology work. He got on the phone with them and they gave him hope, which he had none. So he loaded her frail body into the car and he took her to the clinic. 14 days later, she walked out of that clinic like nothing ever even happened. Nothing. You would have never,
Wow.
except for the hair, it was still short. She buzzed it off and it was patchy. Other than that, you would never know anything happened. Had a PET scan, showed no cancer in her. Zero.
Wait, after how many days?
14 days.
So 2 weeks of, and I gotta know, what kind of treatment did she get?
Yeah.
That's remarkable.
It was incredible. And it's rooted in science, but her oncologist simply said, I would have thought you were misdiagnosed, but I've seen your pathology. So it's just a miracle. So
Oh my gosh.
her doctor down at the clinic, he couldn't explain it either, but he took credit for it, right? No doctor I could find after that could explain what happened. Until one day, I'm sitting with an integrative oncologist, and he says, I've seen that before. I know what happened to your mom. And I was all ears, right? I got to know. He says, definitely a miracle. She thread the needle at 100 yards. But here's how it was done. The clues were she blistered. This happens in rare cases. It's called bullous drug reaction. Doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's really bad. And if you ever look at the pictures on the internet, it'll blister the back all the way down head to toe. It can get really bad. My mom's blistering was on her head, mouth, and throat. That was the first real clue. She's having an allergic reaction. Turns out, bullous drug reaction can ignite the immune system, sends it into absolute berserk mode, right? I mean, this thing is just eviscerating your cancer. And that was the second clue. How could she smell like death when she's not actually dead? It's the cancer. It's dying at such a rapid pace. It's overloading your immune system, what's left of it, right? It's already compromised. It's stoving up. She's got toxic syndrome and she's dying from it. So going down to the cancer clinic, they actually didn't need to kill any of the cancer. That's why it was done so quickly, right? They stop the runaway immune response. They calm her immune system. They detoxify her, build her system back up. They give her nutrients and so forth that she needed so desperately. 14 days, boom, back to normal, goes on to live another 12 years.
Oh my gosh. So
Absolutely.
that initial chemo actually did kill the cancer, but it was killing her at the same time, it sounds like.
It was done in a roundabout way. The chemo didn't actually kill her cancer.
Oh, it didn't.
No, the chemo triggered
The
her
reaction
immune
did.
system. That's right. And her immune system killed the cancer.
So that was really the amazing miracle part of it. So had she not gotten that chemo, which caused that reaction in her immune system, she would have to figure out another way to fight the cancer?
Yeah, the chemo had worked and not given her such a massive immune response. He may or may not have survived. We don't know.
Okay.
It was exactly the right chemotherapy for her type of cancer. So
Okay.
the doctor
So
did
it's
it
not
right.
like misdiagnosed, at least.
No misdiagnosis,
Yeah.
but this immune response, which is the lesson we can all learn from. The immune response was so incredible. It
Right.
annihilated 22 tumors in her upper abdomen in 14 days.
She had 22 tumors?
And the largest one was about the size of a golf ball.
Wow.
All in her body. And it just annihilated them. And the consensus was is that's what you were smelling. She may have been cancer in less than 14 days,
Okay.
but it took 14 days for her to exit the clinic, right?
Wow.
And
Okay.
she goes on, has a PET scan, and she's cancer free.
Mhm.
So it might have actually been during that 1 week period or 2 weeks that she was laying in bed, right?
Yeah.
Probably during that 2 weeks she's laying in bed, that it's just absolutely annihilating your cancer in rapid time. Then 14 days stop the immune response and build her body up so she goes
Right.
from a wheelchair to walking. The whole process took roughly, I would say, 6 weeks from the time they
Okay.
connected her to her first bag to her second, 2 weeks in bed, and then 2 weeks at the clinic. Absolutely stunning. So what's the lesson? The lesson
Yeah.
is your immune system is the most powerful weapon you can imagine. Kill cancer faster than any drug we had crossed. And now it was done in a completely unsafe way. We're not looking to create bullous drug reaction. That was a complete accident. And a lot of times the bullous drug reaction can be so severe, the person can actually pass away from that response, not the
Weird.
cancer. But
Which,
from the
like you said, could have happened to your mother if they hadn't been able to restart her heart, right?
well, they restart her heart from the infusion chair. But the bullous drug reaction that happened in the weeks following that.
Oh, okay. So it
These
wasn't even
so-
happening when her heart stopped.
No, she wasn't having that yet. Her
Oh.
heart stopped probably from the initial shock of having a reaction, just that
Ooh.
initial shock. But then the immune system is triggered into
Right.
absolute, I just call it berserk mode. It didn't go for the healthy cells first. It went for the cancer first.
That's kind of remarkable.
It was incredible. We believe, and the doctor also believes, that the smell of death was the rapid dying of the cancer
Right.
cell over the next 2 weeks while she lay in bed. But it's overloading her liver and her immune system with all of these toxins. She's toxic syndrome, and
Yeah.
she's dying from that. And then if you live through that, and praise God she did, then if the immune system isn't stopped, then it goes on to create massive organ failure.
Mm.
Luckily, the cancer clinic was able to stop the runaway immune response. And then she springs back to life, right? Goes on to live 12 years. Absolutely
Amazing.
stunning. The lesson here that we can use to help
Yeah.
ourselves is our immune systems are incredibly powerful. We just need to do this in a safe.
So I assume you've looked into a lot of these different alternatives. If your mother was to redo this experience, do you have now new information that might have been helpful
Oh,
or not
yeah.
necessarily?
The journey's been incredible. I've been a
Yeah.
patient advocate for 13 years. We even started and ran a successful integrative cancer clinic for years, trying to help people get these services here in the US. There's not many of these clinics that are there.
Right. A lot of them are outside, like in Mexico and other places,
And
right?
that's where she went.
Oh, is that right? She went to Mexico?
Did. So
Ah,
that
so two different questions. One is, how would you describe a patient advocate for those that aren't familiar? And what are some of the integrative techniques that were happening at this clinic that you started?
those are great questions. Patient advocacy is the understanding of what those options are. I've had a number of conversations with people over the years, before and after the clinic. It's actually a lot simpler than it may seem. I don't like to overcomplicate things, especially if we're going through cancer or we're trying to help someone who does. We don't
Right.
need complicated conversations, right? For those people who follow you that may be in this position right now,
Yep.
here's what I would suggest. If someone
Okay.
came to me, family member, comes to me and says, "Hey, I've got cancer, I need help," what I would do, first thing that we want to know is, what's the cancer type? Is it a
Mhm.
solid tumor or is it blood cancer? And it
Oh,
makes a big difference, because modes of integrative therapy that we would use on solid cancers may not work on blood cancer. So it's
right.
important that we know the difference.
Gotcha.
The staging is also important, but it's not ultimately in charge of it.
Okay.
But it's important to know how aggressive, where that stage is. So let's take a for instance. Let's say there's a woman who has been diagnosed stage 4 breast cancer and she's metastasized,
Okay.
right? Oh, let's say it's metastasized to the bones.
To the bones. Okay.
What does she do? Doctor, her oncologist is not giving her a lot of hope. Says maybe there's some more options, but she's not feeling very confident in. And it's just more of the same. This
Mhm.
happens. Let's just keep doing it. But her
Yeah.
symptoms have gotten worse. Her condition has digressed. Here's what we know it's a solid cancer. So the first therapy or integrative option that's open to her, even
Yep.
in stage 4, would be a low dose chemo strategy. Now, that doesn't mean that there's magic in the fact that we just lowered the dose.
Yeah.
It's not it. It's what they do in front of it. And it's
Okay.
called insulin propitiation therapy, or IPT for short. This fantastic therapy. And here's why. First, the doctor will give the patient, this lady, an infusion of insulin to lower the blood sugar level. There's a
Huh.
really good reason on doing it.
Okay.
Cancer loves this sugar, feeds on it, right? It's very
Yep.
well known, feeds on the sugar. So they'll lower the blood sugar level in the blood. So what does the cancer do in response? Lowers its defenses that make it hard to penetrate.
Oh,
That's the
interesting.
key. So now there's less sugar in the blood. So now it's lowers defenses and it's scavenging for sugar. It's pretty hungry. That's when the doctor will infuse a sugar-based low dose, a fraction, maybe 10, 15, 20% of a regular dose of
Oh, wow.
sugar-based chemotherapy. And
Most chemotherapy sugar-based, or is that unique?
it can be, yeah, to help get it in, but
I see.
you got to remember there's a big difference between full dose that has no strategy to try to get it into the cell wall, dilute the entire body, right? And that creates a lot of collateral damage.
But so the low dose and with the sugar helps feed the cancer or basically allow that low dose to get into those cells.
Trojan horse,
Okay.
right into it. That doesn't mean the healthy cells are completely unaffected. No,
Right.
there's some effect, but it's much, much lower level because the cancer is just gobbling it up. And then after the infusion's done, they return the blood sugar level to normal. All right. That is called low dose or insulin propitiation therapy, IPT, low dose chemo. It is a staple of integrative oncology. It is
Huh.
not the only therapy that's given. It is very well known that there are a number of natural holistic therapies that can support that. Can support full dose chemo, can support low dose chemo. So the doctor will prescribe and carry out a plan that uses this low dose chemo, but then there's a lot of other therapies, natural therapies. One of the predominant ones would be high dose vitamin C. You may or may not have
Oh,
heard
yeah,
of that.
Linus Pauling, right?
Say again?
Didn't Linus Pauling
I
start
think,
doing
yeah, yeah,
intravenous
yes, I
vitamin
believe
C?
so.
Yeah.
Now, this is not obtainable through oral.
It's gotta be an
Cannot
IV,
take it.
right?
It has to be IV
Yep.
because
Okay.
when you get to this level, we're talking 25, 50, 75, 100,000 milligrams
Oh.
in setting.
And so what's the vitamin C doing inside the body?
Great question. It does multiple things. One,
Okay.
it actually has been documented that increases the effectiveness of chemotherapy and radiation.
Oh, that's
Actually
interesting.
does that. Yes. Now, it's not something your normal oncologist will say, don't do it because it's all in the timing. If you
Oh.
try to do chemotherapy at the same time you're doing C, they can work against each other.
Uh-huh.
But if you do chemotherapy on one day and then maybe 24, 48 hours later, you're doing high dose vitamin C, you're
Okay.
stacking them in there, pairing them, sequencing them, they become very synergistic, right?
Wow.
An integrative doctor excelled at that. Go ahead.
And so is high dose vitamin C also an alternative to chemo if somebody didn't wanna do chemo, or does it have to be done with low dose chemo to be as
Fantastic.
effective?
Fantastic question. It does have its own anti-cancer properties,
Ok.
but predominantly people that go to a integrative cancer clinic are advanced.
Oh, okay, so it's the later stages.
Correct. And
People
the
need, like,
punch of the chemo.
faster action.
Need the
Yeah,
punch of the chemo. Not that it doesn't have anti-cancer properties. It certainly, so
gotcha.
you had asked, what all does it do? It has its own anti-cancer properties. It actually increases the effectiveness of the chemo radiation the person is
Yep,
taking, and it
yep.
protects healthy cells. It is
Okay.
fantastic. All right. So
Wow.
it's not the only therapy that an integrative doctor would do, but it's
Yeah,
one of the therapies that they would synergize with, sequence and pair. So that's why it's important, like for the free care plan that I have for people at the end of the show, hey, to be able to see how they prescribe, right? The
right.
therapies and stack those in and see how they sequence them
Gotcha.
brings a lot of this to life. Oops,
Okay.
so if it was breast cancer, colon cancer, prostate cancer, lung cancer, those are like the top four that people are dealing with now. But any of those cancers that are solid tumor based, this is a fantastic treatment option that has a tendency to work even in late stages, even when a person's been told there's no other options. This is a fantastic pathway to explore, right? And there's wonderful doctors out there that have had great success with their patients using,
Even in the US?
even in the US.
Okay, cool.
So, what about if I have a blood cancer like lymphoma, leukemia,
Right.
or myeloma? An integrative doctor is going to tell you that, hey, low dose is not an option you should be looking at.
Yeah.
So, what do we do? Not to pull the rug out from underneath people, but historically speaking, success comes from full dose chemo with those blood cancers. I look back at my mom. They gave her the right chemo for her, and she had lymphoma. They gave her the right therapy. It just triggered an immune response that
Right.
completely haywire. And that's where her miracle, when the Lord gives us miracles, it's not always exactly what we were thinking, right? As we were
Right.
praying, Lord, please save her. You know, all these horrible things happen. It led to her being saved, led to the lessons that could be shared years and years and years later with thousands of people. So we have been truly, truly blessed that she went through this. And I'm thankful that she was able to survive and provide those lessons. So when we're looking at a blood cancer, we are looking at full dose chemo, but that's not the problem. The problem is not everybody thrives through those therapies, right? They can feel horrible as it's
Right.
definitely poisoning the body, we know, as well
Right.
as poisoning the cancer. So what do we do? Well, an integrative doctor would bring in all of the support therapies and synergize them, sequence them, time them,
Mm,
and pair them together appropriately to work with that full dose chemo
okay.
and support the body in ways that aren't being done. And we do this in the US, we do this in places like Mexico to be able to support a full dose chemo or radiation program. All right.
So what are some of those support therapies besides the vitamin C for the tumor type cancers?
Great question. They may be looking at curcumin, turmeric, quercetin, mistletoe injections.
Oh, wow.
There's some other ones that are a little more controversial, like methylene blue, sometimes repurposed medications that can be a little controversial. But there was a white paper that was produced not long ago showing the efficacy of ivermectin with cancer.
Okay, that was going to be my next question because I've heard people talk about that cancer is sometimes related to parasites. Is that
The
accurate?
antivirals of that have anti-cancer properties.
Huh.
So it's not just pathogens. I've heard a lot of people, they'll take fenbendazole. In the clinic, they'll use a sister of that in that family. It's called menbendazole rather than fenbendazole, which is predominantly used for animals. But they act in the same way, and people can get those types of medications without prescription. So I'll tell you this. I've never seen someone in our clinic overcome cancer using just ivermectin or
Hmm.
naltrexone. Does it help? Oh, yeah. And it's a fantastic tool and can be used and
Okay.
should be used wisely. But I've never seen that be just the magic pill that overcame that. But to
Okay.
think of it as another way of putting pressure onto the cancer, absolutely. We've
Yeah.
seen it. We've used it. A clinic used it successfully for many years now. Don't run that clinic anymore, but I use those experiences in which to help people understand their options and how they can pursue those. And then I make introductions with doctors that are wonderful to be able to help those people out.
I just want to rewind for a little bit
Sure.
about patient advocacy. My understanding is that it's also when somebody is going to a doctor's appointment to have somebody with them as their patient advocate so that they can ask questions, help that person digest the information that they're being told. Would you say that that's part of the patient advocacy that you've
Absolutely. Don't go to an oncology appointment alone. It's going to go quickly. The doctor has a lot of people, things that get missed. Come with your questions and have somebody take notes. Ask for it to be spoken to them as if they were in eighth grade. It's just easy to miss things. And then when
totally
we leave, all the questions start flooding in. When those
right,
questions flood in, write them down. Write them
right.
down for your next. But advocacy is also understanding the options that are available to us,
Yes.
especially when a conventional oncologist may not actually mention those.
Or
Like,
even know about them, maybe.
we love our doctors. They dedicate their lives. So I'm certainly not against them.
Right.
At the same time, their insurance may not cover these types of therapies. Their
Right.
license may not cover these types.
Right.
Stepping out into that integrative world may cause them great distress. So
Yeah.
they just may not do that. The average oncologist, from what I've read up on, they don't get a lot of training in nutrition and
Oh
herb.
gosh, no. Or the average doctor either.
So
Unfortunately,
they have
it's
to
to be the
go and
pharmaceutical model.
right. They have to
Yeah.
go and do that. So
Yeah.
that's why it's important to get a high quality second opinion.
Yes.
So
Yes. Good
always look for
point.
a second opinion, right? And I would recommend an integrative oncologist to do that if you're going to want to do something alternative. And it's strange that we even call this an alternative because these things have been around for thousands. Our pharmaceuticals are really the alternative.
That's right. Which is very similar to our organic food versus conventional food. Organic is the way we used to grow, right? Now we have to call it organic because it doesn't have all the toxic chemicals.
Right.
I had a friend years ago. She was diagnosed with melanoma, late stage melanoma, and basically was told by the doctors there was nothing they could do for her. And she did something called the Gerson therapy as well as metabolic typing diet. And she credits that as what has healed her. And she's been cancer free ever since. Have you explored any of those kinds of alternative options beyond the integrative?
Absolutely.
Oh, you
Yeah,
have?
absolutely.
Oh,
And they're
perfect.
used inside of these clinics.
Oh, cool.
Nutrition is a big, big deal.
Yeah.
Think of it as your medicine.
Right.
Um,
Well, food is your medicine for sure. And we are what we
Absolutely.
eat.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
the Gersha diet is it's a lot of juicing.
Yes. And coffee enemas.
Playing your own doctor.
Yes.
When it comes to stage 4, it's very experimental, and you are your own test subject. You succeed, you're going to have a great story,
Yes.
but it can be difficult when you're compromised.
Oh, for sure.
If
And
it's
then just the
possible,
decision-making process when you're under that kind of stress and emotional turmoil, I would imagine trying to make decisions can be very challenging, and therefore the need for a patient advocate and somebody that has other options than what a traditional oncologist might be able to offer.
correct. Yeah,
Right?
correct.
Because isn't the hope part of it really essential? If you're working with a doctor that basically says, "There's nothing I can do for you, good luck," that's not gonna really help that
No,
person.
they're giving you zero hope. That is such a great comment that you made there. Hope is essential.
Yeah,
If a person doesn't have it, it usually doesn't go. But
exactly.
when a person has hope, they normally typically start looking at what kills cancer, and that'll lead them to therapies. And
Right.
then those therapies lead them to, well, who's doing this? Which doctors are doing this? And then they start their journey on what clinics, right?
Yes.
That's a path of self advocacy that happens. There's another treatment path that I haven't
Yeah.
discussed.
Oh,
That's,
okay.
and it ties back to my mom's story,
Oh,
immunotherapy, right? That's what she accidentally discovered was a very powerful form, unsafe form of immunotherapy. What's
okay.
wonderful about this is that it can work on both blood. Remember, she had blood cancer and it worked
Oh,
amazing, right?
wow.
And then it'll also work on solid tumors as well. So this is a path that when a person's thinking about immunotherapy, it can split off into two different ways. One can be done by our oncologist, which is pharmaceutical drugs that basically take the brakes off of our immune system. And that's really what happened to my
Oh,
mom.
so it triggers the immune system to really
Correct.
to action.
No hold on it, right? Let it go. And that's what my mom's did. It not only took the brakes off of it, but it said, kill everything. Right? And praise God, it killed the abnormal cells first.
Right. Oh, so it would have continued to kill the good cells if she had continued with it?
Correct.
Ah,
And
so it's
that's
a
what
timing kind of thing, it sounds
oh,
like.
yeah. That's why the integrative doctor I spoke with said she threaded the needle at 100 yards. She had very, very limited time. It all worked out, and she has a wonderful story that she shared with people for years. And then led us to even owning and operating a clinic for 5 years.
That's wild. I'm guessing that's not something that you ever saw yourself doing prior to this experience?
Never,
Yeah.
never. It's been a new life, and it's given rise to a lot of hope in others and given them new life. The immunotherapy that our oncologists do is typically pharmaceutical medication that we take, and it typically does take the brakes off, in layman's terms, takes the brakes off of our immune system. When it works, I remember an integrative doctor told me, he goes, Rusty, when that type of immunotherapy works, it has a tendency to work extremely well. When it doesn't, it causes organ damage.
Ooh.
So for those people who are interested in quality of life, and it's a risk we need to be aware of, not just the gut, but also to know, hey, what could happen if it doesn't go? And organ damage can be the cause of that, even exacerbating our health problems. So
Mhm,
here's the
mhm.
other way. The other way is extracting cells from our body, and predominantly they'll be looking for dendritic cells. And those are the teacher cells in everybody's got them, part of our immune system. They'll extract those, cultivate those, and teach them to fight our cancer on our behalf.
Wow.
And then they reinfuse them back in the body. And this is a series, a progression of therapies that they do over a period of time. It's not taking the brakes off your immune system. So it's not normally found to be causing organ damage, right? It's not that it couldn't happen, right? But usually doesn't happen because you're not taking the brakes. So it's a holistic way of getting our bodies into the fight. It works with blood and it works with solid tumors. This is a wonderful therapy, really.
Have you heard of SEACT? Has there been any
Oh, actually,
studies on that?
it's a great therapy. Is it a magic pill? No, I've never found as an advocate.
Yeah.
or as a clinic owner, I've never
Right.
found there was a magic pill. The closest thing we ever got it was my mom's story at the beginning, and
Yeah.
it was completely done unsafely.
I watched a bunch of the Truth About Cancer episodes. Did you ever hear about that
Of course.
docuseries?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What's your opinion about all of
There's
those?
great therapies in there. He uses a lot of anecdotal marketing in there,
Uh,
but there's good truisms. You need a doctor who really understands what they're doing. You need a doctor who's not only dedicated their lives to understanding cancer, but understanding how integratively, how the natural things stack, pair, sequence, time
yep,
them, dose
yep.
them. All of these things come into play. And it's why I give away a care plan and their doctor's reasoning to those people seek me out after the show.
Yeah.
You need to see how those things work together. No one therapy that did it all. I had a doctor explain to me this way once. Rusty, it's a war. It's a
Mhm.
so if we can, let's talk about patient mistakes.
Okay.
I've seen people on the right path. They're winning,
Yeah.
but they can make mistakes embedded in human behavior and still cause them to not succeed.
Like
It's
what?
it's so disheartening.
Mm.
And the first one is changing dosage of medications because I don't feel right on oral medications and things because I don't feel
Mhm.
good. If you fight your battle according to how you feel, or you judge your success by how you feel,
Mm.
it's a mistake. And it can cause resurgence of cancer. So the only time that we as advocates for patients is saying, hey, don't change the dosage of your medication, right? I'll just take half of it because I
Mm.
don't talk to your
Kinda
medical team.
like when people are prescribed antibiotics and they don't finish the full thing, especially with Lyme disease.
Yes. It's an analogy I use all the time because
Oh,
we're so
wow.
all familiar with it, right? No, I feel good. I don't need it
Right.
anymore. And then you have what we call a relapse, right? And it could be worse than the first time around. Finish the medication. The only time we should change is with the medical team guidance. Let them know if you're having ill effects and they can possibly prescribe you medication for nausea. And if there's thrush in the mouth, there's medication
Yeah.
like magic mouthwash that has a tendency to work really well to get rid of the sores and so forth. Because it
Mm.
can be very hard on people to eat, take their appetite away. But one of the things that helps people with the side effects is walking.
Oh,
We have a
really?
tendency, I don't feel good, I don't want to walk. And
Mm.
our lives get smaller. We move less and less and less. And actually, if we moved more, these side effects would actually subside. Maybe not go
Wow.
away entirely, but
Yeah,
become
but
a
feel
lot more
better.
manageable. Yeah. Walking
Huh.
about 20 minutes a day. Let me give
Interesting.
you an insider that this doctor gave me once. Rusty, if they're on full dose chemo, they should be walking 15 minutes right before their infusion, right?
What does that do?
Drives the chemo into the cancer further, you know?
Oh, wow.
And it's something that's not shared, right?
Wow,
But
that's a
yeah,
useful tip.
just a
Yeah.
simple thing like that can
Huh.
do. Go
What
ahead.
about medicinal mushrooms? Has that played any
Fantastic.
role?
Fantastic. Yeah, there's a
Fantastic.
number of them, like turkey tail and
Yep.
lion's mane, reishi. Yeah, those are just remember, there's no essential oil, there's no mushroom. They're all fantastic. There's
Right.
no food that's a magic pill.
But
Or
cooperatively,
yeah, you're at war and you're putting pressure on the cancer in
right.
every direction you can. But be mindful. Some of these essential oils and mushrooms can work against your primary chemotherapy. So you got to be aware. Yeah, it can.
Okay.
So you're looking at timing of that. You want to make sure that you're not using certain oral mushrooms and oils and so forth on chemo days because it can work against your primary therapy.
Gotcha. And that's like what you said with the high dose vitamin C too.
Correct. Yeah, they can work against each other or they can work very, very well with each other. Timing has everything to do with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what's great about having an integrative doctor manage and oversee that entire process so that
Mhm.
they're working synergistically with each other. The other mistake, if I may,
Sure.
and I've seen this what really hurts me because it was a friend of mine and a
Oh,
friend
no.
of the family. She had triple negative breast cancer. It was very aggressive. The other people she knew didn't make it. And we were
Mm.
winning and she felt good, better than
Oh,
she had in a long time. I'm going
ooh.
to go home and enjoy I have an 8-year-old daughter I haven't seen, and I want to see my daughter, and I certainly get it, right? And I'm going to spend Christmas with them. She was gone 2 months. She came back, she had COVID, she couldn't come into the clinic.
Ooh.
And by the time we were able to start treating her again, she was not the same person.
Oh, no.
Her cancer had gotten extremely advanced, and we couldn't get a hold on it again. And she didn't make it. That is such a mistake.
That's awful. So basically taking a break from treatment is the mistake.
It's usually a pitfall that gets people in trouble. When you're winning and you feel good and you're like, I haven't felt like this in a while, I'm going to take some time off. Well, just know this, like the other doctor said, we're at war. You may take time off, but your cancer's not.
Have you delved into the preventative end of all of this?
Yeah, well, preventative medicine is the same medicine that we use in diet and exercise and the other like oils and supplements that we can take.
And
Of course,
reducing your exposure to toxins and everything, food, household products, the whole 9 yards.
sure, yeah, those are all great things. No, we're seeing cancer in younger individuals than we did before, and
Right.
doctors are saying it's harder to treat. Now more than ever in the past, it's important that we use every tool available to us. That means if you're going to take supplements at home, I'm going to take full dose chemo, I'm going to take radiation, I'm going to take surgery. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to supplement this home. God bless you. That is a pathway. But you need to know how to stack, pair, sequence, and time those things. You're going to have to really get in because you can use things that normally would be good, but can actually work against you. I'm a good resource, but seek out an integrative doctor to do a consult with to see what your other options are or what they feel they can do for you. This has probably been more important to do this than ever in the past.
Yeah. Whew. So much important information.
You got insulin propitiation therapy. That is a low dose strategy for solid tumors. We have a full dose chemo with a full support, everything natural, supporting and helping the person increase the efficacy of their conventional therapy, fighting cancer and supporting the healthy cells, the immune system. So that's available for blood cancers. And then you have the immunotherapy that uses like dendritic cell vaccines and so forth that people can use. These three pathways are what we're using integratively today, and they are working fantastically.
Wow. Well, thank
Yeah.
God for that.
Yeah, we're very thankful for the tools. And then it's a matter of finding doctors that we trust.
That's key.
It is, yeah. And that's why I share doctors because I've been able to meet so many of them over the years. And I go, well, I certainly know which doctors I would put my trust in, right? And it just depends on what specialty they are in, according to what path would best suit them. So that's just a conversation. I sit down and have conversations with people all the time about what would possibly best fit them and then make an introduction to them to a doctor.
So I know you have this free resource that people can get. How can people reach you also? I imagine there's a way through the resource, but
Still maintain the Brio Medical website.
say again, the Brio Medical.
Brio Medical, yeah, BRIO. Put a dash there and then the word medical, Brio Medical. It's got blog after blog after blog and videos. It's a huge resource. There's a form there. If they go on a laptop or tablet, you'll see the contact me form on the side. But if it's on a cell phone, it moves it to like in the middle of the page. So scroll down, take a look there. They can contact me directly by just calling me. I'm happy to answer the phone. And secondly, if they fill out the form there and at the bottom in the message section, put in care plan, and I will be happy to email it to them. And it is such a valuable resource to see what's being done, right?
Yeah.
And then how these therapies, what was the reasoning behind the doctor's thoughts?
And then success rate wise, what are you finding with the integrative process as opposed to,
Almost across the board elevated.
you mean across the board, meaning across the board of all the different types of cancers?
Blood and solid tumors. There are a couple that it's kind of a 50-50, but the success rate could be marginal to spectacular. Is it a guarantee? No. That's why it's important to take advantage of the time that you have. If you feel good, if you're fighting cancer and you're like, still feel good, this is just your moment, right? Because there will come a time, if that cancer is not eradicated, it will get more advanced and we can't recover, right? So if you feel good, and when someone talks to me, I'll ask them some basic health questions. Are you dressing yourself? Your appetite good? Are your bathroom routines still normal? And These are all important, right? Being able to have more options. The worse or more bedridden that we are, our options are getting very, very limited. So take advantage of when you feel good. Get that second opinion. If you need me, I'm happy to lead you to some amazing doctors that do this. And
Wow.
then zoom you through a process of being able to find out what those options are that match up with your specific diagnosis, because these are personalized paths that people go
Yeah.
on. And
The reality is we all have cancer cells in our body, right? It's just when they start to proliferate and become kind of out of control that people then experience illness.
yeah, that's it. Some cancers are fast, some cancers are slow, cancers are easier, and some are more difficult. What we have learned is your most powerful ally is your immune system.
Which is
When we,
designed to heal us
it
if we
is,
give it what it needs.
if it was actually a human army, they'd rule the world.
Yeah.
If our immune system never sleeps, it's always on the hunt, it's always working for us. So when we can put it into action and purposefully using that and supporting it and increasing it, this is a very, very good option for people. And that's what I'm here for. Help make sense out of this, reduce the overwhelm. Oh my gosh, we've all experienced overwhelm. What does it do?
Sure.
It makes us think the worst, right? We automatically go to the worst possible outcome. It
Sure.
shuts down our creativity. It's bad literally for our immune systems.
Yeah.
And it takes our hope away from us. It
Yeah.
robs us. So to have a conversation, to flesh out what can be done in layman's terms, and then have a doctor whom you trust with your life, right? You're like,
Yeah.
oh, these are great doctors. Having a conversation with them so they can explain, here's what we do. And then you've already gone through the plan of care that we had over here and the reasoning guide as well. So you have a well-informed conversation, right?
Yeah.
This can change people and eradicate the overwhelm, give them direction, increase hope, and save lives. One
Rusty, thank
conversation.
you. This has been such a powerful conversation. So I appreciate what you're doing.
It is my pleasure. I appreciate you having me on. So any of your followers that are going through this, God bless each and every one of you. There are options. Get in touch with me, and
Yeah.
I've got that free resource for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, and don't forget, go give you a 5-star review. You have more than earned it. And that's just
Oh,
a great way of saying thank you.
oh, you're so sweet. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for
All
having
right.
me.